I never thought I'd end up here, honestly. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 5 years now. We met in college, spent years building this image of a perfect little family, and everything seemed fine, or so I thought. We had our fights, sure, but nothing that felt insurmountable. Lisa was always a bit of a bitch when she was stressed, but she was also smart, funny, and pretty damn loyal, or so I believed. Looking back, I guess I started noticing little things. At first, it was just the usual, her staying out later than usual sometimes with no explanation. She'd brush it off, say she was hanging out with her friends or working late. Still, the feeling that something was off gnawed at me. I'd catch her texting on her phone more than she used to, hiding it when I walked into the room, and she'd get defensive if I tried to see what she was doing. "It's just work stuff," she'd snap, rolling her eyes like I was an idiot for even asking. Then came the pregnancies. We were excited, had been trying for a while, and when Lisa finally got pregnant, I was over the moon. I was ready to be a dad. But as the months passed, I started to notice her mood swings, her irritability. I thought maybe it was just hormones or the stress of preparing for the baby. Still, the way she acted sometimes, like she was annoyed by anything I did, started to set off alarms. I didn't want to believe she was cheating, but I felt something was wrong. Maybe I was just paranoid, or maybe I was ignoring the signs. One night I came home early from work, expecting a warm smile from her like always. But instead I found her sitting on the couch, her phone in her hand, scrolling through messages almost too quickly when I entered. She looked up, tried to act normal, but her eyes gave her away. That little flicker of guilt. I asked her who she was texting, and she said it was just her sister, her usual excuse. But I knew better. Something was definitely off. I couldn't put my finger on it at first, but I knew I had to dig deeper. I just didn't expect what I'd find next. What I would find next would change everything forever. The next few days were hell. I couldn't shake the feeling that Lisa was hiding something, and it was eating me up inside. She was acting even more irritable, snapping at me over the smallest things, and her phone seemed glued to her hand like a security blanket. I started paying more attention, watching her like a hawk. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the gut feeling was screaming that she was up to something. Then, one night, I decided enough was enough. I had to know for sure. I got into her phone when she was in the shower. Nothing crazy, just a quick peek. That's when I saw it. Messages. Not just innocent texts to her sister, but messages to someone I didn't even want to believe it could be. Her phone was filled with flirtatious, explicit messages, dirty talk, plans to meet up, and even confessions about how much she missed him. My stomach dropped. That someone was my own brother, Jake. I couldn't believe my eyes. My mind was racing, trying to process how the woman I loved, who carried my child, could betray me this way, especially with my own flesh and blood. I looked at her. Messages again, reading every word, how she called him hot, how she wanted to fuck him hard, and how she was done pretending for my sake. It was like a punch in the gut, and I felt my world shattering. I closed her phone, feeling numb. My mind was spinning. I didn't know what to do next. My wife, the woman I trusted implicitly, was sneaking around behind my back, and the worst part was, she was cheating on me with my brother during my pregnancy. I never thought she was capable of such a betrayal, and I definitely never imagined I'd find out this way. I was furious, devastated, and confused all at once. I had to confront her, but I wasn't sure I was ready for what I'd hear, or what I'd do once I did. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. I couldn't keep this secret to myself anymore. It was eating me alive. I decided I had to face her, get the truth out in the open, no matter how much it hurt. The next night I waited until she was in bed, pretending to sleep, and I grabbed her phone from her nightstand. I knew I had to be careful. I didn't want her to catch me snooping, but I needed proof. I unlocked her phone and scrolled through her messages again just to be sure. There they were, more exchanges with Jake, more explicit talk. I took a deep breath and woke her up with a loud voice. "Lisa, we need to talk." Her eyes fluttered open, sleep still lingering, but then she saw the look on my face. That's when she knew I had found out. Her expression flickered between annoyance and panic. "Oh God," she whispered, sitting up. "What's wrong?" I didn't hold back. "Who the hell is this?" I demanded, showing her the messages. Her face paled, but she quickly sat up straighter, trying to act like it was nothing. "It's nothing," she said, shrugging. "Just some stupid flirtation. It's not what you think." I felt my blood boil. "Not what I think. Are you kidding me? You've been screwing my brother behind my back for months and you think I'll buy that it's just stupid flirtation? How long has this been going on? How many times did you lie to my face?" She started. "To lie, of course. It's not like that. It's just sex, Mike. It's not serious. Jake and I were not even really close. It's just a stupid mistake." A mistake, that's what she called it. Like it was some minor slip-up, a little fun that got out of hand. I couldn't believe her. The woman I loved, the mother of my child, was telling me it was just sex, like that made everything okay. I stared at her, feeling a mixture of anger and heartbreak. She kept trying to justify it, saying it meant nothing, that she loved me, that she was just caught up in the moment. But I saw the truth in her eyes. She didn't care about the pain she was causing me. My mind was racing. I felt like I might explode. I wanted to scream, to hit something, but I just sat there trying to process the betrayal. I wondered how I'd ever trust her again, how I'd look at my brother the same way. This was the kind of betrayal I never thought possible. It shattered any sense of normalcy I had left. I realized then that my life was never going to be the same, and I didn't even know if I wanted to stay or walk away, but I knew one thing for sure. I was hurt to my core, and I wasn't going to let her keep lying to me. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, anger, and heartbreak. I couldn't believe I'd been blind for so long, trusting Lisa's lies even when something inside told me to look closer. Now that I knew the truth, everything else seemed to fall apart. I kept replaying the moments, the late nights, her cold attitude, the secretive way she handled her phone. All of it made sense now, even if I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't stay in that house with her after I found out. I packed a bag and left, not even sure where I was going, just needing space to breathe. The first night away, I felt numb, like I was floating outside my own life. I didn't sleep, just stared at the ceiling, replaying her lies, her betrayal, and the image of her with Jake. How could she do this to me? To our baby? How could she lie so effortlessly, pretending everything was fine? That's when rage set in. Not just the usual anger, but a deep, burning fury. I started plotting my revenge, even if I didn't know exactly what it would be yet. I wanted her to feel the pain, the betrayal that I was feeling. I wanted her to understand the damage she'd done. I knew I couldn't just walk away and pretend everything was okay, not after finding out she'd been sleeping with my brother during my pregnancy, while I was trusting her to carry my child. I thought about the best way to do this. Public humiliation. Digging up every lie she told. No, I decided I needed something worse, something that would hit her where it hurt the most. That's when I remembered the safe in the family room. It was supposed to be just for valuables, but I'd noticed that she kept some pretty explicit photos and messages stored in there, things she thought nobody would find. I waited until she was out visiting her friends, then sneaked in and opened the safe. That's when I found the final piece of the puzzle, proof that she'd been lying to everyone, even to herself. There was a stack of photos, her and Jake. More explicit than anything I'd seen online, even videos. It was graphic, sickening almost, and I felt my stomach turn. The worst part, she'd been hiding all this in the family safe, thinking no one would ever find out. That was her way of protecting her secret. That's when I realized I had everything I needed to make her pay. The evidence, the truth, the betrayal. I knew exactly what I was going to do next. She had to see what she'd done, and I wasn't going to stop until she faced the consequences. After discovering everything, I knew I had to act fast. I was furious, but I also wanted to make her understand the depth of her betrayal, how much she had hurt me, our child, and our family. I sat there for hours, going over every detail, every message, every photo, and I realized that I couldn't keep this to myself. I had to confront her with the evidence, but I also wanted her to feel the full weight of what she'd done. I waited until late evening when I knew she'd be home. I set everything up in the living room, her phone, the photos from the safe on, my laptop, and a recorded message I'd made from our conversations. When she arrived, I didn't even greet her. I just stood there holding the evidence. Her eyes widened when she saw it all laid out, and she immediately started to deny everything, trying to brush it off. "Mike, I can explain." "Explain." I interrupted, voice cold. You want to explain how you've been screwing my brother behind my back while I was pregnant, how you've been lying, cheating, hiding your secret in the family safe." Her face turned red, then pale again. She started crying, but I didn't buy it. "It's not what it looks like," she said, voice trembling. "It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. I was stupid, yes, but I love you. It's just a mistake." "A mistake?" I cut her off again. "This isn't a mistake, it's betrayal. You've been lying to my face, cheating on me with my own brother, and hiding it all in the family safe like some sick secret. Do you even understand how much you've hurt me? How much you've shattered everything I thought we had?" She broke down completely, sobbing and begging for forgiveness, saying it was just a moment of weakness, that she was stressed and pregnant, and that she didn't mean for it to happen. But I couldn't listen to her. I felt a surge of disgust and anger, and I knew I couldn't stay with her anymore. The trust was gone, and I realized I'd never be able to look at her the same way again. That night I made the decision. I told her I was leaving, that I couldn't keep living in a lie. I packed my things and walked out, leaving her sitting there, crying and pleading. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison, a place of lies and betrayal. I knew I'd never forget what she did, but I also knew I had to move on, for my own sanity and for my child's future. In the end, I learned some harsh lessons about trust, blood, and betrayal. You think you know someone, but sometimes they can surprise you with their capacity for hurt. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone going through something similar, it's this: trust your instincts and don't ignore the signs. Because once a lie is uncovered, it's almost impossible to go back to how things were. Be honest with yourself about what you deserve, and don't let anyone make you feel small for walking away from a toxic, dishonest partner. Looking back now, I realize just how much everything changed that day I found her in those messages and photos. The house feels quieter, emptier somehow, but also clearer. I've spent weeks trying to piece myself back together, and honestly, it's been the hardest thing I've ever done. I thought I knew what love was, what trust meant. Turns out I was pretty damn naive. One thing I do know for sure is that betrayal cuts deep, especially when it's from someone you trusted with your life, your future, your family. Lisa was supposed to be my partner, my wife, the mother of my child. Instead, she was someone else entirely, someone who lied, cheated, and betrayed blood with her own brother. That kind of breach doesn't just hurt, it leaves scars that take forever to fade. I've come to accept that I can't change what happened, but I can control how I move forward. I'm focusing on healing, on being a better father to my kid, and on rebuilding my sense of self. I've realized that I don't need her in my life. She chose her path, and I'll choose mine. The pain will always be there, a reminder of what betrayal feels like, but I refuse to let it define me. To anyone who's going through a similar nightmare, I'll say this: trust is fragile. Once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix, but you can rebuild yourself. You can come out of it stronger, wiser, more cautious. Never ignore the signs, and never let anyone make you feel like your feelings or suspicions are wrong. Your happiness and peace of mind are worth more than any fake apology or false hope. So here I am, still standing, still breathing. The betrayal hurt like hell, but it also taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. I'll never forget what she did, but I'm learning to live with it. And someday, I hope I'll find someone who truly respects and loves me, someone who never hides their secrets, who values honesty above all else. Because in the end, that's what we all deserve.